So many have been asking, Rahim, how do you do your 360 drone episodes? Well, here it is. This is my 360 cam rig, DJI FPV Drone, mounted at Insta360 One X2. I'm using this mount. Why it is further forward? Because I want to avoid the GPS bug so that I can maintain GPS signal. Plus, if I'm recording, I make sure that any Wi-Fi signal or Bluetooth is switched off so it doesn't disrupt the GPS. I have the cam tilted rearward this way because I need the cam to be in the center of the drone as best as I can, because especially during hovering, it needs to be well balanced. Okay, enough about that. In this episode, I'm going to be guiding you through what is direction lock on the Insta360, and also I'll be walking through with you what is my 360 editing workflow. Let's go! What's up fam, Rahim here. Welcome back to the channel. I'm doing okay, by the way. I have some things to mention, but I'll leave it to the end of the episode. Well, anyways, for this tutorial there'll be two parts. I'll start off with what is direction lock, and then I'll move over to my overall workflow for how I do my 360 episodes. So for the direction lock setting on my Insta360, I always have it switched on. The reason for this is because I want you, the viewer, to follow with me wherever the drone and the Insta360 is moving along. If you had it switched off, right, then the effect is gonna be like as if you're in one of those teacup carnival rides, right, where even as the teacup is spinning, you are going in random directions, okay? But since I have the direction lock set to on, that means where the drone turns and banks in, you will also bank in and follow me in the turn. Alright, that's kind of cool. That's the system doing its magic and centering you according to where the drone is flying. It is still a 360 video. Take it that as if you're co-piloting in the drone itself, right? So where the drone banks in, you follow through, but at the same time, if you were to move your phone or your mobile device or whatever device that you are viewing on, but I think if your TV screen, obviously you cannot move it lah. If you were to turn your phone or your mobile device left and right, it will follow, alright? As if you're the one sitting inside the cockpit with me and looking around at your surroundings. But let me remind again, this is a very specific setting to the 360 kind of episode I want to create. I want you to follow through any direction that I am moving. That was as simple an explanation that I can give to you why you would want to switch on the direction lock. Let's move on to the editing workflow. Okay, so for myself, as with regards to editing workflow, I always do it on my laptop, on my computer, or any form of desktop level device, right? I don't prefer to do mobile editing. It is proprietary. What that means is that in my perspective, the videos or the files that have been recorded, the 360 files, are only read by the 360 cam. Alright, you can't just put it in your phone and expect to read it. It's not an MP4 kind of file or MOV kind of file. Alright, so more on that, you can watch the episode right up here. So what you can do is get the files transferred from your Insta360 cam into your mobile device. Once you get it in there, I need to process the files into an MP4 kind of file. So once the files are in the correct directories, you'll need to export the file, and I would choose the YouTube setting. I can choose the highest resolution, and then I set the bitrate at 25. I guess if I could do it on the desktop app, then maybe I can have a higher bitrate, but the best that I can do on mobile is up to 25. I think it's megabits per second. That's kind of not enough of a bitrate, but that will do for now. So once I export it out, that file is going to be an equirectangular kind of file. Alright, basically it takes that 360 video and stretches it into a long format. Alright, I don't know the aspect ratio of this, but it's definitely not 16:9. It's slightly longer than that. It looks weird, but certain file players on your mobile device will be able to read that file. Alright, the reason why I need it to be in that format, because now I can take that file and put it in my timeline of my editing software. So for myself, I'm using Final Cut Pro. Some of you may be using Premiere Pro, DaVinci Resolve. These are the baseline editing softwares that can handle this 360 footage. I'm not too sure about other programs, but do check first that your program can handle this equirectangular kind of file. I'm personally a Final Cut Pro fanboy because I've paid one price and I've used it for about 4 years. Alright, that's much better than paying monthly subscriptions. That's just my opinion. Okay, so the Insta360 files have been processed and exported out of my mobile phone. Also, the direction lock is on. As you can see, this equirectangular kind of file looks very weird. It is an MP4 file. You can play the file, right? Yeah, but it needs to be processed further, or at least that's what I'm gonna do in my timeline. Alright, so I already have this file ready. So let's go into Final Cut Pro. I'm just gonna be creating a new event. So my event, I'll call it 360 editing or 360 edit workflow. Okay, so these are the settings that I will need you to check on, because right now I'm not processing just for a normal 4K video. It's gonna be a 360 degree video, alright? Resolution of 3840 by 1920, and I have my video already recorded at 25 frames per second, so I'll choose my timeline as also 25p. The setting here is gonna be 360 monoscopic. I don't use stereoscopic. Truthfully, I don't know what that setting is, but let's just go with monoscopic. You can leave the recording standard as Rec 709, and yeah, that's more or less my settings. Okay, so now in my 360 edit workflow, I don't need this much space for this edit. Okay, I'll open it up a bit. So here's where I will import into my project the files that I intend to use, right? Don't worry about the file directories and file names, because this is just how my workflow is. I have my work on my Final Cut Pro external hard drive, so it's under Insta360. I have the 360 file here as I showed to you earlier, and I also include some music just for the editing purpose. For my import settings, I create proxies, alright? It helps me work on heavier files. So the idea of proxies is that the program will create smaller file size. The video is gonna look shit, the resolution is gonna be very low, but it helps you to move along, because if you have very huge file sizes, right, it's gonna bog down your computer if you're gonna be using its original media. Alright, so create proxies, and that's how I do my workflow. It really helps in working faster. Give it a while, it needs to create the proxies. So editing magic, 2 minutes later and the proxies are ready. So I'm gonna take this file and drop it into my timeline. Personally, I do not need to see the small sample image over here on the timeline, so I'm gonna change that up. For my settings, I'm gonna just make fully audio. Okay, why audio only? Because from the audio I can tell more or less whether what am I doing at that point of time. So let's move over to here. This is where the motor start, right? I'm just gonna cut that and remove whatever that was, and so from the point the motor start to the point of flight, that's all I want. Okay, so maybe more or less I'll stop I think somewhere, I'm scrubbing until somewhere about here. Okay, then the rest of the video I can remove for the sake of this tutorial. Alright, so let's keep it short and sharp on this point. So here's the deal. I know that I have set direction lock, but I don't know what direction is it preset at. Alright, so I'm gonna go over here under view. There is the setting of 360 viewer. There you go. So I have exactly also what the viewer will start off with, right, as the preset setting. I kind of want the image a bit bigger, so maybe I don't need this. I can just narrow it down just a bit. Alright, just leave it at that. These two. Okay. I know there's faster way to do this, but I'm not too concerned about that. Right. So let's get back to the video. If I were to scrub, okay, I am looking at the drone flying in random positions. Okay, so best is find the starting point, which is gonna be about here. I want it to face directly straight, alright, meaning to say in alignment of where the drone is facing, and so I'm gonna adjust the pan and tilt, okay, at this setting, reorient. So personally, I will just keep turning until I see. Okay, see, here's the trick. All you need to do under Final Cut Pro is bring your cursor over to the number and scrub. Alright, click and scrub, and I'm moving actually the cursor to the left, and that's where it's moving, it's panning the drone at the same time, the view at the same time. Right, so I still don't know whether I'm in the center. It just helps to tilt the drone looking downwards, just for the sake of, yeah, that's about it actually. Okay, so I know that maybe it's somewhere around, yeah, I mean logically it should be 90 degrees. I can input that directly, negative 90, and that could do the job, right? So I know that I'm in alignment with the drone. I can already remove the tilt option. Okay, so that should be exactly straight. Let's just scrub through the video and have a look whether we are exactly straight. Okay, so the drone has launched. It is moving forward. It is taking a turn, and it's cruising through the trees. See, horizon is not level because it's following the roll of the drone, but that's perfectly fine because I want that natural experience. When the drone goes straight, the horizon is level. When the drone pans, then it will also bank into the turn. Okay, so everything looks okay right now. Take note for FCPX users, alright, you have this setting here. It doesn't affect your video. This is just for you to view, alright. The final outcome is still gonna turn out to be a 360 video unless you are making you are reframing the video, then that is a totally separate topic in itself. Alright, so more or less I have the drone facing in the correct direction. You, the viewer, will be preset in the correct direction following the drone, and that's where I will just track through the video. Of course, here is where you can do whatever other magic you wanna add on. You wanna maybe merge more videos together, but I'm just sticking with one. Then I'm just gonna put in some music to have the correct feel about the video. Right, I think it should be playing somewhere. Okay, that is the starting point that I want the video to start. So anyways, I always want a feel to my episodes. I don't just randomly take any music and just throw it in. Alright, one is copyright issues, one is for the overall feel. So anyways, the music I use is by Epidemic Sound. Now if you want a free trial, the link's in the description. So anyways, there'll be more episodes coming up, so do subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll be informed when the new episode comes along. So at most basic, this is how I'm going to be editing my 360 videos. I will of course include things like titles, overlays, and if I wanted also at the end of it, I will then put a black screen, right, and some transition. Okay, for example, maybe I'll just go through with you right here. I can kill off the rest of the music. I don't need all that. Then over here, I'll have a solid, which is just a black background. Okay, you can of course include your own fancy backgrounds. I would probably only want it up to 10 seconds, somewhere there. Okay, then there will be a transition of a fade to color, which is basically just fade out, right, to black. So I'll stretch it a bit. A good space will be maybe 2 seconds. This is kind of a bit squeezy, so I'll stretch it out a bit, then I can get more detail. Right, so let's play through just a few seconds. Maybe you guys can see through this. Watch as the flow is following the direction of the drone and it fades out. Okay, final check. As I'm playing it, I didn't get the timing of my audio and the launching of the drone at the same time. So I'm just going to mark the point that it launches, right, by putting a cut right here, somewhere there. Okay, so I'll shift my audio over and that should be okay. Let's give this a try. Let's watch this. More or less alright. For the sake of this editing, I'm not gonna stretch it too far. Fade in, fade out music, and where's my fade out music? Yes. So here's gonna be a fade out. More or less. At the end, it's gonna look just like that. Okay, following through the music. And as the drone rises, the audio starts to fade away. Okay, end. Alright. Now I didn't want to make this episode too long. That was a very basic introduction about how I do my 360 editing workflow. Hopefully you can see for yourself like what are the requirements, be it the program or what settings you need to put in, and then you can create your own art. Alright, like I also mentioned, you can also add in like titles and other effects and all that, right? But that in itself will take a much longer video, which I know you also have your own creative side of things. I just wanted to show you the basic outline. of how a 360 edit is. Now, if you have any questions about the editing which I did not cover in this episode, right, leave a comment down below and I'll answer you there so that others in the community can also read and learn from your responses, right? Okay, so I mentioned at the start that I'm doing okay. Why I suddenly needed to mention that is because I've received many responses from many of you, and I'm really thankful for all your support and all your love. And I know I haven't responded to you yet, but it's a lot, and I don't like to answer a few at a time. I prefer a sit down and really go through all your questions and responses, right? So really, again, thank you to many that have given me all that support and love. And a special shout out goes out to these few people that have supported me on Buy Me a Coffee. By the way, Buy Me a Coffee is like, if you appreciate the things that I've been doing and you want to show some love, you can always buy me a coffee. The website itself is buymeacoffee.com, right? Your support not only helps to grow the channel but also helps me as a full-time YouTuber, and I appreciate you for that. So special shoutouts for this episode are my Buy Me a Coffee supporters, Carl Marciano and also Don Carleon, for their continuous support and love for this channel, and also to the Flow Squad pilots. Now, if you're in Singapore, you gotta know the Flow Squad pilots, right? They are an awesome bunch of pilots. Now, if you ever get to meet them, you gotta watch their FPV feed, right? You'll be amazed. They're awesome. Well, that's gonna wrap up this episode. Now, if you've liked this video, do give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not already. Now, leave me a comment. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Pilots, as always, I'll see you in the skies. Now, if you want to watch 360 videos, it's right up here. And also, I took a hard hit and got fined really bad from flying drones. The episode is right here, right? Peace, bye.